And it's not like that. It is not like that. So we're going to talk some recruiting. I'm going to start with Will, then I'm going to come down to John. Same question to both of you. Real simple. I know you just compared where we were right now at this time last year, right? Mm-hmm. And that's kind of when I like to say the avalanche started happening. We'll say dominoes. It's easier. Started happening. My thing is this. The question is simple. Being that this year, it's clear that they're targeting more the defensive line and the wide receivers. Like last year, we targeted the linebackers and offensive line. We still recruit every position. But there's two spots that they target. I'm not going to tell you how I feel until you two go, but in your thoughts, with not just the visits that are coming, but with the attention to those positions, clearly, bringing on Jason Taylor, that's a huge boost and easy, to bring him in any room and with his resume, blah, blah, blah. But there's money involved now. The NIL is a real thing. We just got to accept it. It is. We don't have to like it. You can like it. Too bad, so sad. It ain't going nowhere until Congress gets involved. So here's the question. Defensive line and wide receiver is where they're putting most of their emphasis in this recruiting class. Clearly, you see the guys that are on. They're like 7 of the top 20 at their position, at both positions, right? Where do you see today in the other positions where we've made the most movement that you're like, wow, I really like where we're going? And then where you're like, bro, I don't know. I think we're a little bit behind in this position. Not D-line, not wide receiver, because that's the one that they've targeted, and that's all we hear about. So-and-so's here, so-and-so's here. Look, wow, look at the defensive linemen. Look at the wide receivers that are here. But not too many on the corners, not too many. Clearly there's not a lot of offensive line this year. It's a down year. But what positions do you feel really good about where we're at that are not defensive line and wide receiver, and which one are you a little bit concerned?
Well, I feel pretty good about the offensive line. I think the offensive line, because of last year's recruiting and our acquisitions of the transfer portal, guys like Matt Lee and Javion Cohen, the offensive line, I believe, is a much improved position on this football team. So I think that's one thing that we have to look at. Okay. I'm also very happy as well with the cornerback position. Even though we lost, Cormani McLean to Colorado, I do think that we did make some strides again through the transfer portal as well. And I think picking up, both Brown brothers, one in recruiting, one in the transfer portal, is also going to assist. A lot of the guys that were picked up last year, I believe, are going to play this year, are going to get some run this year, because if you guys know, last year Miami had a bit of a difficulty, a man-man coverage. They got burned a lot. And not only that, a lot of the veteran corners like Al Blades and Gilbert Frierson have all moved on. So but I do like what we've done as far with that position as well. I think it has been a much improved as far as that position goes. Another thing, too, is the running back position. Another underrated position that we picked up is the running back position. All right. Hellcat is a stud. I don't care about his star rating. We all know a lot of that is manipulated, and it's where you go to school. I'm sorry. That's just the way I feel. The Hellcat is great. The pickup of Kevin Riley is another good piece for the Miami Hurricanes. The kid is not just a bruising back. He's also a guy that could run away from defenders. And then not only that, Mark Fletcher, who was a top 5, top 6 cornerback last year, recruited and became a Miami Hurricane as well. And Chris Johnson, something about that name brings speed to the tailback position, because he's also an absolute burner as well. So I do think the Canes, have done very well in that position. Not in terms of not named defensive line, or also looking at wide receiver.
Right.
Okay.